In this presentation, we will enter the payment of the payroll liabilities after the December payroll in our payroll problem within QuickBooks. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are on the home page. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by selecting the view drop-down and selecting the open windows list. We're going to open up our reports now by going to the reports and going down to the company and financial. We're looking here at the balance sheet standard. We're going to change the dates up top, report dates. We're going to change them to 01/01/21 to 12/31/21. That's January 1st to December 31st, 2021. I'm going to change the fonts while we are here and increase the font size a bit to, let's say, 11. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here is our report. Now we have these items here that we're going to basically need to pay off here. So we got these that we're going to pay off. We're going to do the same process for paying them off. We're not just going to go into the checks and write a check. We're going to use QuickBooks little payroll process in order to write the checks. So to do that, we're going to go to the home page. Going to go down here to the pay liabilities. So what has happened, of course, in the month of December, we processed the payroll, pay employee, and now we're going to pay the liabilities that we took from, the withholdings as well as the employer portion. So pay liabilities. Now we have to enter the date of the check, and remember, we put it in there as of 12/31/21. 12/31/21. This is not the range of the payroll range, which is the month of December. It's the day we made the check, processed payroll, gave the checks out. We didn't do it the next month like we have been in the past. We forced it. We made it sure that we put it in the last day of the current period so that we can have it within that current pay period. So then to do that, so that's when we wrote the check, 12/31. In other words, if we go into that, then we're not going to print it here, and the check date is going to be, we're going to say this happened next year. Now, when we wrote this check, we wrote it in the next time period. So 01/01/22. Let's say 01/15/22. So let's review the dates here. What happened? Well, this was the payroll period for the pay period of December 1st through December 31st. That we paid on the 31st, the paychecks on the 31st, and we incurred liabilities, the withholdings and our portion of the payroll liabilities, which we are now paying January the next year, 2015, the 15th of the next year. So again, we have that cutoff kind of issue here. We're paying this liability off in January for liability that was incurred in December. So those are kind of confusing things within payroll, just these date issues you have to keep in mind as you go mull through those. So here's the check date once again. And we're just going to go through and check these off. We're just going to check off the taxes as we've been doing in the past. So we're going to check off the federal unemployment, which there is none, that's okay. And we're going to check off the federal withholding, the Medicare, and the Social Security. So those are the ones we want. If you're following along, then your check number down here should be 11/4/15/01. So make sure that is the case. Once that's the case, we'll double check our dates and whatnot. Everything looks appropriate. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and create the paychecks. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. And let's see what happens to our balance sheet over here. Go into the balance sheet, refreshing, and it looks pretty much the same. So nothing, I'm not very impressed by that change. And the reason nothing happened typically is because, of course, the date range here is as of the end of the year. So remember, as of the end of the year, we still owe this information. So if we're processing year-end data, we just got to keep that, we got to keep those cutoff dates in mind. And so we process the payroll, and therefore the expense is on the income statement, whether we be under a cash basis or accrual basis. But the liability is still owed because we didn't pay it as of 12/31. If we want to see the payment, then we'll have to change this date range. We'll have to change this to the next year, to something like 01/01/22 to 01/15/22, January 2022. And so if we go there, then we see that we don't owe anything anymore on those items. for the payroll liability because they've been paid. Okay, so we can see that more clearly on the trial balance. So let's go to the reports drop down. Let's go to the accounting and taxes and take a look at the trial balance, changing that date range from 01/01/21 to 12/31/21. And then we see again, there's nothing in, there's no change. These items are still there. Let's change the font while we're here. Customize fonts, font 11, okay, yes, okay. Okay, so again, these items, the liability items are still there, but we can double click on them, look at the detail. So here's the FIT, and it's still owed. This last pay period is there's the 0, and then we had these paychecks that happened. If we change this date range to 01/15/21, then 01/15/22, then we will see that it goes back down to 0. Here's our payment. So it's crossing over that cutoff, that natural kind of cutoff that we would think of as the end of the year cutoff. But if we go through January 22nd, then okay, that pays it off. That payment then, if we try to tie out these payments to the liabilities, you got to recall that there's going to be that crossover over the cutoff date. This is a payment that happened the next year for the prior year's payroll. So if we close that back out, same thing will happen for any of these, of course. The HI, same kind of thing. It's still owed as of the end of December. But if we go 01/15/22, the next year, January 15th, then we'll have those payments and it'll go back down to 0. So if we close this back out, we'll see once again that these are all due. If I change this date, however, to 01/15/22, then they all go to 0. So just be aware of that cutoff. Be aware of what's going to be shown in the end of the year reports and what's going to be there after we pay it off. Be aware that the payments that you look at in 2022, especially at the beginning of the year, may not necessarily be for the year 2022. And that's really important when considering and talking to the IRS about liabilities, because they get really confused about, or it's hard to go over that crossover. So you got to get that crossover correct so that you can clear up any problems. Most problems happening due to the difference in pay periods and when the payments were made, as opposed to when the liability was incurred, and whether it be incurred on a cash basis or an accrual type basis. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.